Hello YouTube, I finally completed my collection of Blurp Balls. These were made by Ertl in 1991. I'll give you an initial quick run through of all of them just to show you their names, and then we'll have a more in-depth look at them later. So this guy's called Bony Toss Teeth. He's just like a little skull. All of these have got little balls inside that they kind of fire out like little projectiles. I'll show you those separately as well in a bit. This one's called Sharky Skull Squirt. Yeah, these are a really cool toy line. They came after the Madballs in the 1980s, and they're very similar. This is Biff Bath Ball. And then we've got Croaky Bug Chuck. All of these Blurp Balls are all designed by James Groman, who's the same guy that designed a lot of the original Madballs. This guy's called Rat Tomcat. I just love all of the names of all of these guys. And then we've got Tyrannosaurus Wretch. Yeah, there were only 8 of these in total, so it makes it quite an easy toy line if you want to collect them all. I'll talk about the prices of some of these later, but this next one's called Count Heaverheart. Another great name. And then the last one in my set is this one, who's a pig. He's called u.s.c.l.e. I'm just using these light fittings for the purposes of this video, just to balance them all on, but you can use anything that's like a little tube, like, I know some people use the insides of small rolls of sellotape. Okay, I was going to show you all their projectiles like this, but it became quite difficult to kind of zoom in on each one, so I decided to put them in a row instead. So I'll zoom in real close and show you each one. You can see with Bony Toss Teeth, who's the skull, you've got this really cool little set of basically gums with teeth in. What I really love about this is when you put it in his mouth, it just makes him look really kind of goofy. Next we've got Sharky Skull Squirt, and you can see here that his projectile is the skull of a diver. Next we've got Biff Bath Ball. And if you look at his projectile, it's basically just a baseball covered in a nice kind of splat of blood. Next we've got Croaky Bug Chuck with his blue projectile. It's got cool wings, and then it's got big red eyes and lots of legs, and it's just a really cool looking little bug. Next we've got Rat Tomcat, and as his name implies, he's got a little rat as his projectile. If you have a look at him, he's real bold colours, and he's got his little tongue sticking out and his kind of goofy teeth at the front. Just a really nice looking little projectile. Then we've got Tyrannosaurus Wretch, and if you have a look at his projectile, it's a little caveman, and he's holding his nose as if he doesn't like the smell of the breath of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Then we have Count Heaverheart, and his projectile is this really nice vivid red little heart. Really stands out, it's nice and bold. And finally, u.s.c.l.e. has got a projectile which is a little rotten apple, which is a nice touch with a couple of leaves on the top there and some kind of worms or maggots sticking out of them. So that's all of them, complete with their projectiles. Hopefully that'll help some of you if you're trying to collect these. Make sure that you get the right projectiles for each one. The projectiles can be quite expensive in their own right because obviously over the years they get lost really easily. This is a close-up of one of the projectiles just to show you that each one says Blurp Balls on one side. I showed you this light coloured one because it shows up more easily. You can see it says Blurp Balls on the other side as well, upside down, but exactly the same little trademark. And then you've got this little 1991, if I can get this to focus, 1991, there you go, TCFC. I recommend always trying to buy these with their projectiles in them, because if you buy one without a projectile, although it's cheaper initially, then trying to find the projectile for it can be a bit of a nightmare. Right, I'll pick up each of the Blurp Balls and we'll have a good look around each one and I'll show you all the details. So here's Bony Toss Teeth. This one, when I got it, was really grubby, and I'll show you how I cleaned it at the end, but just for now, have a look at this massive crack at the top of the skull. It's a nice kind of feature. And then you've got all of the sort of writing on the bottom of the ball. And then you've got all these kind of like bit of brain sticking out the bottom or something. And then you've got a snake, which is a nice little touch. All of these have got really cool little tiny kind of features here and there. Obviously you've got all the blood at the front of the mouth. And then you've got like the tail of the snake coming through there with a rattle on the end. And here he is with his projectile back in place, just to show you with his little goofy teeth. I think I like all of these balls pretty equally. Normally I have a favourite, but I'm not sure I do have a favourite in this line. They're just all as good as each other. Okay, so moving on to Sharky Skull Squirt, you can see he's got obviously an amazing set of teeth at the front, lots more blood dripping from the front of him as well. And you've got a cool fish hook in the side, lots of bumps on the top, nice big kind of gash down the side of him, and then you've got a bit of gore on his fin, some nice gills there, lots more gore on the back of him as well. Now you've got one of those sort of sucking fish stuck to the side of him, which is a nice touch. And who doesn't like a nice big shark after all the Jaws movies and that kind of thing? I love all the details and all the textures on all of these balls. They're all kind of really well sculpted. But also with this one, I just love the fact that his projectile is a little tiny diver that has basically turned into a skeleton. Then with Biff Bathball, we've got his amazing headgear on. He's got his tongue sticking out of the front. Looks like he's got a bruise under one eye. And then on his arm, he's got like plasters. Basically got a lot of injuries all over him. He's got the number 10. And then as we come around, he's got scar, like stitching down his face, stitching on his arm. He's got a sort of a bandage around his wrist. He's got that strap on the top of his head. A bit of a dent in his kind of head as well. And then you've got a little ball at the front there as well. So really cool looking figure. Lots of nice details again all over him. Like I say, all of these are just covered in really nice little touches. He looks particularly good with his projectile back in because again it's just extra blood. So it looks like the blood that's come down from his nose has kind of carried on and gone onto the ball as well. Next we got Croaky Bugchuck, and I love the name of this one. But also I love the fact that he's such a cool kind of bright green colour with these bright yellow eyes. Nice shiny eyes again, and again he's covered in all these kind of like warts and bumps, and he's got the typical kind of frog leg position, you know, with his short legs at the front, big legs at the back. Then you've got this nice big fly. His back is all covered in really massive warts, so again nice bumpy textures. He's got lots of little insects and things all over his body, and he's got these sort of orange tympanic membranes like his eardrums. I like the nice touch with the yellow ooze coming out the front as well, presumably from where he's just squashed his little bug. Even though he hasn't got a tongue, you do get the sense that a tongue might have just shot out to catch this bug. The original Madballs and these Blurp Balls are both from a style of toy called Gross Out. I think you can understand why. Right, with Retro Rat Tomcat, you can see here it just says Puffball at the front here on his little name tag. And then again we'll go around, so he's got a bandage on his wrist here, he's got some more scarring, he's got red puffy bags under his eyes, an insect on top of his head, more stitching on the back, so he looks like he's been roughed up quite a lot, another bandage on his tail, plaster on his back, another insect on this side. Then if we look underneath him, you can see these red pads on the bottom of his feet and his little claws. So again, just a really cool figure. You've got a lot of white kind of froth coming out the side of his mouth, and his tongue's sticking out again. And here he is with his little rat in place. And I just really love this little rat. That probably is my favourite little projectile. Moving on to Tyrannosaurus Rex, he's got a similar sort of white foam on the edge of his mouth. Again, nice set of teeth, nice bright yellow shiny eyes that kind of pop out. Really cool legs and arms, really nice style with all this kind of scales and bumps and things all over them. Brilliant big dragonfly on the back. You know, we all know those massive dragonflies that used to exist at the same time that the dinosaurs did. They were really huge. And then we've got this cool lizard as well, which is a really nice touch, a nice bright green colour, and his tail wraps right around the back. And then you've got a row of spikes down his spine as well. So yeah, really well designed little ball, this one. I particularly like the way with his projectile that the little caveman is kind of all hunched up into this little ball. It's a really good design to be able to get the person to look like a ball. And just the way that he's holding his nose as well, like the T-Rex is kind of just burped or made a horrible kind of sick smell. With Count Heaverheart, what I really like about him is that he's all covered in these little tiny cracks all over the place. When I first got him, I thought it might just be age-related wear, and then I realised that is actually his kind of texture, which is really cool. It makes him look really kind of aged and old and kind of even more gross. So if you look at his eyes, again, he's got really shiny eyes, which I really like. And then you've got all these little details like his little ring and his kind of ears with the points on. You've got this nice bat hanging on the back of his back, which is a really cool touch. A bit like the the lizard on the dinosaur one. And then you've got these nice big spiders and a nice big spider web as well. Really nice touch. Really adds to the kind of gothic creepiness of him. And yeah, just overall really cool colour scheme. Lots of nice blood at the front as well. And obviously his fangs and his purple lips make a big difference too. And with the heart in the front, it just makes it just look really kind of gross and nasty. And the heart really does stand out, especially with that big purple vein right sticking out of the front. Finally, with Spitui Sui, he's a very kind of typical fat, round looking pig. I like the fact that he's got one eye closed and one eye really kind of popping out with a nice kind of big vein in it. His legs are in a cool position, like he might be kind of jumping or in action. And then he's got his cool little trotters. He's got writing on the back there, nice cool little tail. And I love the fact that the tail isn't your sort of typical curly tail. It's just a short, cool looking tail. Got more stitching on the side of his cheek, lots of bumps all over him everywhere. His ears are pretty cool looking, and obviously his kind of bright pink snout and teeth, and lots of nice white kind of froth at the front again. Again, with the apple in his mouth, he just looks even cooler. All of these, they all look great in their own right, but when they've got their projectile in the mouth as well, it just makes all the difference. Right, if you're going to get into collecting these, there's something that I want to show you that's really important. When you first buy them, because they're from 1991, they're really old now, and most of them, when they come, they're pretty grubby. So this one's a really good example because, he's quite a light colour anyway, this sort of really pale sort of cream colour. You can see here, look, just with the cotton wool bud, and I'm just using water. I'm not using any chemicals or anything, just literally tap water, and I'm just going in and just removing all this absolute filth. And a lot of the ones, you'll see a photo of them on eBay or whatever, and you'll think, oh, that looks disgusting. But more often than not, when you buy them, you can rub most of this off. All of the dirt just comes off, and you end up with something that looks like a brand new Blurp ball. As long as all the paint and everything looks like it's intact on your Blurp ball, you'll probably be fine. It's really hard wearing paint, and unless your Blurp ball has been thrown against concrete or kind of scraped across the ground a lot, it'll probably be fine. You can see here all of the cotton wool buds that I use cleaning him. It's worth mentioning that you should clean everywhere, like all of that grey area underneath I cleaned as well, in the blacks of the eyes, because the black really shows up more if you clean it as well, and the red gums and all that sort of thing. Clean everywhere. Yeah, even if you get your Blurp ball come through the post and you think it looks clean, give it a clean anyway. You'll probably find that it was absolutely filthy and you just didn't even realise. So here they are. You can see it's a really nice collection. I'm really glad to own it. Finally, it's taken me a long time to get them all together, but it was totally worth it. So a lot of these go for sort of 80 or 90 pounds each, which is a lot of money. So I haven't been willing to spend that much on them. I've had to wait because if you're lucky, you can pick them up for more like 30 to 40 pounds. Obviously, some of them are slightly rarer than others, but it's definitely worth kind of waiting and hanging on, and then eventually you should be able to get all of them for about 30 or 40 pounds each, which I think you'll agree is still a lot for a ball anyway. But if you're trying to buy the little projectiles separately, quite often the projectiles go for about 20, 25 pounds each. What I'd love to do at some point is put all of these in a cabinet along with all of my Madballs figures, and all of my spitballs and things like that. I think they'll just all look amazing together in one place. I was recently able to get one of my Holy Grail items, which I'll do a separate video on at some point, and it's a thing called Touchdown Terror, which is part of the Madballs range, and it's like a sort of an American football looking thing. But anyway, if you like this video, check out my other videos if you get a chance. Hit subscribe if you want to see anything that I post up in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.